He did whatever he.
I
Well,
gotta rewind and
even
let y'all
then,
listen to this.
none of the jobs
Let's
turned
listen.
into anything with a
Let's
future.
listen, bro.
At least not a future.
Let's listen. I'm gonna jump back.
How would you know what first step to take?
Just listen. We'll catch it
How
up.
would you
I'll edit it
measure
either
your
way.
progress?
The
How would you
email,
know where
the
you
email,
were?
the email, the email.
How would you know how far you had gone? How would you know how much farther you had yet to go? Without your primary aim, you wouldn't. Indeed, you couldn't.
I'll let y'all ride with me. You won't be able to see nothing. But
as we mature companies, I believe those who know how they got where they are and what they need to do to get where they're going.
Word, I like that.
Great people have a vision of their lives that they practice emulating each and every day. They go to work on their lives, not just in their lives. Their lives are spent living out the vision they have of their future.
Give y'all some free book.
They compare what they've done with what they intended to do.
Let me know if y'all want to do a book club. I got some good books, man.
They don't wait
Crazy
very
thing
long
is,
to make up the difference.
I've had them for years.
They go to work.
Now I'm back in them again because it's like I'm rebooting. Got to reboot. They go to work on their lives, not just in their lives.
The difference between great people and everyone else is that great people create their lives actively, while everyone else is created by their lives, passively waiting to see where life takes them next. The difference between the two is the difference between living fully and just existing. The difference between the two is living intentionally and living by accident.
Oh, man.
Let me repeat once more that great quote by Don Juan in Carlos Castaneda's A Separate Peace. The difference between a warrior and an ordinary man is that a warrior sees everything as a challenge, while an ordinary man sees everything as either a blessing or a curse. So before you start your business or before you return to it tomorrow, ask yourself the following questions. What do I wish my life to look like? How do I wish my life to be on a day-to-day basis? What would I like to be able to say I truly know in my life, about my life? How would I like to be with other people in my life, my family, my friends, my business associates, my customers, my employees, my community? How would I like people to think about me? What would I like to be doing 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when my life comes to a close? What specifically would I like to learn during my life? Spiritually, physically, financially, technically, intellectually, about relationships. How much money do I need to do the things I wish to do?
2 people trimming.
By
So
when
they got to
will I
trim
do
that.
it?
No more.
These are just a few of the questions you might ask yourself in the creation of your primary aim. The answers become the standards against which you can begin to measure your life's progress. In the absence of such standards, your life will drift aimlessly, without purpose, without meaning. In that regard, your primary aim is the vision necessary to bring your business to life and your life to your business. It provides you with a purpose. It provides you with energy. It provides you with the grist for your day-to-day mill.
Close down.
Your day-to-day mill. That's what's been missing in my business, Sarah all but shouted. Me? How could I have been so oblivious to something so obvious? Don't be so hard on yourself, I said. We're all oblivious. Join the club. Let me tell you a story.
There's some shit.
There was once a young man who had recently turned 40, whose life seemed to be going nowhere.
This story right here,
Somehow, he'd never grabbed hold of a career. His life had no purpose. College had somehow eluded him. In his first year at UCLA, he couldn't find anything to hold his attention, and he quit. He studied music. He studied music as a boy, many said brilliantly, but in his early adult years failed to find the conviction he needed to pursue it.
Big son coming on
many different things attracted
proud of that boy.
Music, religion, mysticism, writing poetry, drugs, writing pulp fiction, money, none of them permanently.
Right, man.
He took whatever jobs came along, and because of his natural and varied talents, he did whatever he did well. But even then, none of the jobs turned into anything with a future, at least not a future that attracted him. After leaving college at mid-term, he drove to New York City to study art, quickly changed his mind, and joined the army, which sent him to Korea. His father died suddenly, bringing him home to care for his mother and two younger siblings.
Crazy, don't it, bro?
Sometime after, he met an exciting woman, took off to Europe, where they traveled from country to country on a motor scooter, and where he played saxophone and drew religious figures on the streets in front of cathedrals to earn enough money to eat. Finally, out of money and tired of the game, he and his woman friend were repatriated by the U.S. government and returned to New York City, where they contracted to drive the New York
repatriated me, you know?
Cab
to look that up.
To deliver it to his new owner. When he was 25, married, had two children, moved to San Francisco, where the young man sold encyclopedias for a living, played saxophone on occasion, and became, over time, less young.
Less young, baby. That's what they're all getting, less young.
Eventually, after one too many rages about his wife's use of alcohol, her infidelity, and his lack of purpose, the whole thing came tumbling down into divorce. He immediately met a much younger woman, whose eyes shined like his ex-wives didn't, who read his poetry and was touched by it, who listened to his music and was awed by it, was satisfied just to sit by his side, no questions asked. And though he continued to sell encyclopedias, and though his heartfelt need for connecting with something that smacked of purpose continued to pain him privately throughout all of this, his life took a more positive turn with this new young woman who eventually became his second wife. He went back to college, left the book business, studied contracting and construction so he could work with his hands rather than his mouth, moved with his new willing wife to Southern California, and maneuvered himself into framing jobs from which he was fired time after time until he learned how to pull it off. By this time, he was a man in his late 30s, beginning to do work that kids 20 years younger than him did. They regarded him on the job as something of a freak. His beard by now was down to his chest.
Ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch, boy? You heard that? Damn, son, let me put this up here. Yeah, oh, you can see where he goes.
Was down to his chest.
Crazy, though.
His hair hung down over his shoulders. He wrote poetry at night, played jazz on the weekend, ate burritos with the Mexicans on the job, smoked dope in the evenings, and dreamed crazily about the future when he and his young wife would
no
buy
purpose. They'd
20
be out here
acres
working,
in
like,
Mendocino
doing
County,
what they do,
build
man.
their own house with their own hands, raise a family, and have his two girls. They go to work on their lives, not just in their lives. Their lives are spent living out the vision they have of their future.